Hey, what's going on? This is Nubia,
And I'm Francis.
and we're from Chronicles Abroad.
Person of Melanin majority.
Jazzie and Christopher from Black Digital Nomad.
We wanted to come together as a unit and discuss this recent article that came out about basically Blacks not being welcome in Thailand.
Yeah, I was just going to introduce the title. So this came out of News One, which is a publication that caters to Black news. And it's called Thailand Tells Black People Don't Come Here. The similarities to Trump's immigration agency are hard to miss. And it's by Nigel Roberts.
Pretty powerful title to get people's attention.
So how did you guys feel about it? Because I was a little passionate at first when I got tagged in it. I was like, whatever. But then it went viral, right?
Right.
And people were extremely sensitive about it. And I started hearing people say they weren't coming to Thailand anymore or didn't want to spend their Black dollars in Thailand if they weren't welcome there. And you know, we all live and we currently live in Thailand. So it kind of touched me because I really do see this place as a second home. How did you guys feel or react to that?
It was interesting because I had a friend from back home who I guess saw the article like in Dallas and like I was sitting there tagging me in like with a sad face and all of that. And at the end of the day, like when I first just read the title myself, I felt like it was kind of reaching a little bit. Like I didn't buy too much into it. It just seemed like, you know, clickbait or whatever. So, you know, but curiosity overcame. So I did read it. And I wasn't swayed one way or another. And my, you know, perception is probably biased just because I've experienced being here. You know what I mean? So I personally haven't felt that or endured that here, you know, in my experience in Thailand. From what I understand, it's like some kind of like overlying resentment or towards like a bad experience they may have had in the past with like certain African countries and Nigerians specifically coming over here and kind of setting a bad precedent for people of color. So, you know, it's just kind of something I feel like, you know, if it comes up, if I get stopped or whatever, because I'm a Black man, I wouldn't take it as prejudice or racism just versus the Thailand government being responsible and taking care of, you know, something that they've been through in the past with people that happen to look like them. You know,
So Jazzie and Chris, how long have you guys been in Thailand?
Since July of this year, so
approaching 4 months now, I
yeah,
guess.
that many months.
And Erin, you're the newest person to Chiang Mai, so welcome.
Thank you.
What has your experience been as a dark-skinned Black woman here in Thailand so far?
Yeah, I think, you know, my experience has varied. You know, I feel relief being here. You know, I was in Washington, D.C. previous to being here, and so I could really feel the toxicity of the environment and the effect that it was having. And, you know, previous to that, I was in Utah, so actually dealing with police brutality out there. So to me, being here and just having that physical separation, it feels good. There's lots of sunlight here, being able to eat fresh fruit, you know, juice that only costs like $1.50. So I look at it for those benefits. However, I will say, you know, I do get asked frequently, like, where are you from? And maybe on the one hand, it's from curiosity and just a question to want to connect. But then, you know, I was in Pi, and it kind of felt like one time I was asked this question, like they were trying to gauge, like, are you American? Are you, like, could you be, you know, from the continent of Africa? And, you know, I have had one experience where I dined out with another Black woman who lives here, and, you know, the service that we received wasn't the best, and I was wearing my head wrap at the time, and I have like a cowrie shell in my hair, so I didn't know if that came out of, you know, their discomfort with my African presentation.
Well, I can honestly say Thailand isn't known for their hospitality. So I'll just put that out there, okay? You can go in a restaurant and be sitting there like, hello, anybody. So I don't know if that's indicative to you being a Black woman and ordering food.
Right.
But the hospitality here is not known to be like quick and, they're of service all the time. So I guess out of all of us that are in this panel, I've been here the longest, almost a year and a half. And, as a dark-skinned woman with short hair, I don't think I've received any issues in Chiang Mai specifically. However, when I have traveled on the bus to other places, normally going south, I have been asked, where are you from? Congo? Where are you from? Where you from? Cameroon? Are you Nigerian? And they just like bombard me with those questions. And I'm like, no, I'm American. And the moment I say I'm American, oh, Obama, the whole mood and tone changes, And that happened specifically when Francis and I went to Krabi. I mean, I had never at that point been in Thailand and seen Thai people, react to me in that way. Kind of a lot of stares, a lot of taking pictures and taking video of me. And at that point, I had never had an issue. So I can't say that I haven't faced, the questions, but I've never been faced with blatant, I would say, racism, like in my face, like you don't belong here type of issue.
Well, here's the thing. You're in Asia, a very homogenous country. They aren't accustomed to seeing people of various shades. So I'm not sure if this article meant exactly what it said, or if it just, because they're going to ask questions, they're going to be curious. That's pretty much the standard if you're traveling through. They're going to stare because they don't see people like us all the time. And that's pretty normal. For me, because I've lived in a very small town in Thailand before where there was probably like a handful of foreigners, not like Chiang Mai. And then I've lived obviously in Chiang Mai for the last few months, and I've never been faced with that at all. Mostly it's just curiosity, and that's pretty much keep it moving. So I feel like the article, I'm not saying it's unfounded, however, I feel like it's, like you said earlier, Chris, it's a bit of a reach. And I think in general, Thailand is cracking down on their people who are here, because there are tons of people here legally, Europeans, Black, it don't matter. If you are not Thai and you don't have proper documentation, then you're here legally, and that's what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to clean up house.
And I also think that, that the question, like, where are you from while traveling, is not a bad question at all. I think that we do it in America all the time. Like, where are you from? And it's just curiosity. Being from America, we do have the privilege of seeing all different types of people, like someone said earlier. And some of these people have never seen anyone that looks like us, our hair textures, things of that nature. So it's just kind of, I think, just being curious, and I don't think that we should get offended by those common questions. Yesterday I was in the elevator, and the girl, like, wide-eyed, I had my hair wrapped high, and she said, "Oh, a little young girl, where are you from?" And I said, "I'm American." She said, "Oh, I thought you were from Africa," but I did look like, somebody from Africa. But it wasn't like in a negative way. I think it was just pure curiosity, and then I said, no, I've never been to Africa, yet, but wasn't offended. And I think a lot of times we do kind of bring over our trauma from the way we're treated in America. And not to say that racism doesn't exist, because we do see like the bleaching and all of those things, which is kind of their own stuff. But I think a lot of us take our trauma and the way that we were treated in America, and we kind of take it negatively, like people looking at us or staring at us, when it's like, I don't know. And when I see something for the first time, or if it's interesting or it's beautiful, I look. And so people are curious, and they haven't seen anything like us. And I think the article was, it was kind of, I don't know, poorly written, and I don't know if it's really.
It was titled very cleverly. Is that a word? Cleverly. It was, yeah. He he did what he had to do to get the attention to the article. You know what I mean? And then he wrote just enough to kind of like, you know, set precedence for the, you know, the title and stuff. You know what I mean?
But who said that? What Thai person said, "Hey, don't come here"?
Exactly.
What, you know, that wasn't a direct. Was that a direct quote?
Yes.
You didn't see, you know, exactly who said don't come here. I didn't see a video of anyone saying not to come here.
And that's the thing. I was looking for that because they did say that they not quoted, but they took words from the chief general that said that they are looking for. I think Erin, you have that specific message. It was something like, "We start with the dark skinned people" or something of that sort.
Yeah, I mean, when you go back to the article that News One linked to from IOL, you know, I'll quote it. Thailand's immigration crackdown has swept up refugees and asylum seekers, sent young children into horrid prison-like conditions, and appears to have clear aspects of racial profiling against South Asians and Africans. And this is from Brad Adams, the Asia director at the Human Rights Watch.
Okay. Now, I honestly can say that I don't feel like it doesn't happen. I can't say that it doesn't, right? Again, I want to put a disclaimer out right now to everybody watching. The four of us, or the five of us, live in Chiang Mai, Thailand, which is northern Thailand. A lot of the stuff that's going on, that's in this article, is going on within Bangkok and in the south of Thailand. It is a different world. It's not the same. There's nothing same about Chiang Mai and Bangkok. Way two different places. Chiang Mai is very much smaller and less busy than Bangkok. Bangkok's very busy. Now, I don't know about you guys. However, I've been to Bangkok on several occasions, and specifically certain places like Nana and I can't pronounce the other name, but you walk down the street and you see nothing but prostitution, see nothing but a lot of African men just hanging around doing whatever. You see a lot of, corruption going on in the street. And that's just what you see. So I think that the Thai police are seeing what I'm seeing. You get what I'm saying? So if they're seeing that, that's all they know.
Right, which I think is even more important for us not to say, let's not come here or leave abruptly, because I think that we're a representation, and every time that someone encounters me, I want to be pleasant and kind, because it's like, oh, I saw a Black woman today. Maybe this was their first encounter, and because we are representations of each other, regardless of whether we want to be or not. It's kind of painting a different picture of us, and showing that we're here, respectful, we're kind, we take care of your country, right. And right. And then being legal too, doing things the right way. If you're here, leave when you're supposed to leave. Yeah. Do the right thing. Yeah. Go get a multi-entry visa or whatever you need to do. But right. That's with any place. That you need to kind of. We do have these false borders and lines that's been created for a long time, but it's kind of.
Here's the thing, though. Here's what grinds my gears. I love using that phrase, but what grinds my gears is like you have a lot of people who, I'm like, you live in America, okay? America has a long history of racism, so
right, they tell you that to your face.
Understand. Yeah, straight to your face. I mean, I grew up in Boston. I had a lot of racial tension in Boston growing up, and so for people to say, because I heard people forwarding the article, oh, don't go to Thailand. They've never been, obviously, or they've never traveled or never lived abroad. And they're forwarding it and scaring people left and right. But, you live in America. Trump is your president. So
take that.
I don't know what to tell you, but we're okay here in Thailand.
I think that's what angered
that part. Someone just gets shot in the grocery store. I mean, at the Kroger, 2 people, rest in peace. It's very sad, but it's kind of like, there's problems everywhere. Yeah. I think things are bigger than what they appear to be sometimes, and it's just, I guess, based on different experiences. People have different experiences, and that's with any and everywhere. And so, I think that Thailand is a nice place to still come and visit.
I don't see
Yeah.
Thailand as a racist place. I don't know. Do you guys see that at all?
It's hard to see races coming from America.
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, keep going.
I think, like Jazz just said, coming from America, like what we ordained to be racist is completely different, especially in a lot of these Asian countries, like places like, China or wherever, where, some of the things they do would be considered blatantly racist, but they're like, how are we racist? We don't even have black people in China, you know what I mean? So like little subtle things like that. So I think when it comes to the black experience, especially, as Americans, we're very sensitive to, certain attitudes towards us, and we're quick to, press the racism button. When at the end of the day, I think this is just Thailand's experience, like I was referring to after I learned about how there was like a wave of Nigerian, mostly like college students, younger kids, fresh over here from Nigeria. They were exploiting their visas and things like that. So I think, just like anything else, you know what I mean, when you experience something, you're on guard for it in the future. So I don't think it's racism at all. I think it's something that happened to them, and they're just being on guard because they're just, being a mindful culture. So I don't feel any way about them implementing actions towards dark-skinned people, because I personally don't consider being racist. I think, they just want to figure out who's good and who's bad, like any other culture would, So that's how I look at that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would just add to that, just to clarify, so the person who was asking me, where are you from? He was in military fatigue. So he was, a Thai soldier. So, I think it's really important to be able to pick up on the nuances of who's asking the question and why they may be asking the question. And I also think we are speaking from a place of privilege of being American and having an American passport. And if we didn't have an American passport, if we were from Nigeria or Uganda or Cameroon or Congo, we may be treated or viewed very differently. We may be the same people, but because we don't have that American passport and that pass of cool and hip hop and all of that, our reality could be very different. So I think we just have to be very balanced. And there's a lot of nuances to racism. And, I definitely am aware of the skin bleaching here. You see snail white everywhere. You do see white models on billboards and things of that nature. So white supremacy is global. It is a global phenomenon. And, it comes from the West and it does penetrate the East. I also have lived in Japan for 2 years. And, I've seen, just even caricatures of Black people since I've been here, and, take photos of that, little pickaninnies and ashtrays with Black men and big dicks and things like that. So I think, just with anywhere that you go, you just have to understand that as a Black person, there's just going to be misunderstanding of who you are. And so that's really important to have a strong knowledge of yourself.
I agree. I mean, one of the first experiences I had was living in Japan, where I came in and it was a giant poster of a Black place. Just going to do some karaoke and have a good time. So, so it, like you said, white supremacy permeates the entire world, really.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but that is the truth.
Colorism is real, and it's real, and like I keep trying to say to people, we live in a homogenous country, and to live in a homogenous country, I feel nothing but welcomed, actually. So whatever the police or immigration is doing, they're doing it because there are people breaking the law. And regardless of their color, because the more and more I've read on this operation, ex-foreigner, whatever it's called, which has been going on for about a year. They've been cracking down on it a lot. And they arrest everybody. They don't give a shit who you are. They actually have taken in their own people, Thais, who are harboring people who have been here longer than they, whether they're landlords, whether they're owners of is they take in Chinese, they take in African, they take in everybody who is breaking the law. It's not a dark skin, light skin situation. Like I said, we just stand out because we are of darker complexion, and all this melanin is easy to see from across the street. Yeah. So that's my take on it. You guys have any closing last remarks you want to say about this article?
Yes.
Anybody who's afraid to come to Thailand or refuses to come to Thailand because they feel like their money will be best spent elsewhere.
Still come to Thailand, that's all.
I would just say, like, the lower cost of living, you can't beat it. The fresh fruits and vegetables, being able to be in turquoise water that feels like bath water. I mean, you know, with the cost of living in the cities going up in DC, LA, you know, just all over the place, like really in Chiang Mai, you can have the best of both worlds. You can have the arts and culture and the atmosphere, and just be able to get on your grind and focus. So,
and community, because there's a lot of us here. People of color, light, dark, indifferent, you know, there's a lot of us here, and we do our best to support one another in our endeavors while being here in Chiang Mai. And like I stated earlier, we can only speak specifically on Chiang Mai per se. You know, there is a good community of people of color in Bangkok. Bangkok, I would say, is equivalent to the New York City. So for anybody who loves big city lights, that's Bangkok for you. You know, it's a very different atmosphere than Chiang Mai, and you'll get a different atmosphere in the South. You know, and historically, and I would just say this, within Thailand also, the darker Thais are looked at just like in the States, how darker skinned people were back in the early 1800s and 1900s, looking as, like, I won't say less than, but they're the workers. You know, so that same mentality does apply here as well. So that's just something to think about. I mean, I don't think it directly relates to us as Americans or as Black people, but just to know that also within their own culture, they have a classes, system. And we found that to happen in India. Shit, it happens in Africa. So when people go, oh, we're going to go to the motherland and give our money there, it happens there too, boo. It happens in a lot of these different places, whether it's a different country or a different continent, it happens. It happens in Australia. So, it's not something, you can't escape it necessarily.
Just at the end of the day, go for yourself. First experience for yourself.
Alrighty. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. This was a good discussion. I hope it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And book your ticket, man. You're missing out if you don't.
Right.